Hey guys, first Regardsman here, and so I'll be talking about every single class in Space Marine 2 patch 10.0 and tier listing them based on their true solo performance. Now, this patch did add in a bunch of new weapons, things like the Pyre Blaster, Pyre Cannon, and Power Axe, and it has changed rankings a little bit, so I'm going to go through these here once again, starting off with the Assault class. Now, Assault is historically terrible in this game, however, in patch 9.0, they did give him a huge buff to the Hammer of Wrath perk. They also buffed up the Block Power Fist, and Block Power Fist is simply insane in this game. Now, unfortunately, the Overcharge perk for 25% more damage on charge attacks is broken on the Assault class for anything except the Thunder Hammer, so it doesn't work for like the Power Fist or the Full Throttle on the Chainsword, which is pretty stupid. I don't know why it broke that way, but they haven't fixed it yet. So things like the Power Fist are simply better on Bulwark currently, but that being said, it is still his best weapon, and armor reinforcement is by no means terrible, and his repositioning tool, the Jump Pack, is very powerful as well, and defense mechanism for a 50% slower CHP fade helps him a ton in getting HP back with the rate of fire plasma pistol. He's in a pretty decent spot. I'd say the worst thing about him is by far his ammo economy and lack of direct health damage reduction, because no health damage reduction in this game does suck. I do think the Vanguard currently outperforms him in true solo despite lacking the similar boss damage, but that being said, Assault is still very strong. I would put him in a very high B, and to be honest, you can make an argument for him being an A right now, but I'll put him here just because of that bug perk interaction. Next class here is the Bulwark. Now, Bulwark is the #1 winner of patch 10.0. This guy got a shield rush that can stagger any enemy in the game, including bosses like the Hellbrute. It no longer staggers things like the Hive Tyrant, but you can infinitely stunlock a Hellbrute, which is absurd. The damage of his Overcharge perk is multiplicative, with his shield rush on top of shield bash having the best synergy with things like the Block Power Axe. He's kind of absurd. The Bulwark simply has the highest damage reduction of any class in this game, with a fat 30% increased H pool in base, on top of the fact that he has top tier armor restore, top tier damage, a plethora of incredible perks. He can also heal himself in the Invigorating Icon. He is almost as mobile as a Vanguard with the grapnel launcher with his new shield rush, and he also has a guaranteed animation cancel with the shield block on top of 100% range damage reduction. This guy is simply absurd. He struggles with genuinely zero content in the game. The Power Fist is the most broken weapon in Space Marine 2 in my opinion, and he uses it the best of any class. I would say he's an easy S tier. Bulwark is just kind of broken. This is like absolutely a face roll class, and this is one of the easiest classes to use in the game as well for like your first true solo, because despite him having a fairly high skill cap thanks to animation cancels, he has such forgiving mechanics that tie to him with his damage reduction and healing. It doesn't really matter at all if you don't know how to do that. You can really just take him in and just spam Invigorating Icon and just use all of his damage reduction and pretty much never die. So incredible class for sure. S tier pick for true solo by far. And the next class after him is the Heavy. Now, Straben is simply him. This class is incredible in true solo. He has the Fortitude perk that gives him 30% increased HP, just like the Bulwark has, on top of having Conviction in his Prestige perk tree. So this class is actually the second tankiest class in the entire game, and actually he is as tanky as a baseline Bulwark. 30% increased HP plus Conviction is just absurdly powerful in this game. A really, really powerful guy in general. He also has the new Pyre Cannon, and the Pyre Cannon burn effect is kind of OP currently. The amount of boss damage the flamethrowers in Space Marine 2 can do is just staggering, and he also has top tier weapons like Heavy Plasma, the Multi-Melta, and even the Heavy Bolter. Honestly, Straben is just that guy. He does a stupid amount of damage. He has very powerful perks like Encompassing Aegis. He's good on any team comp in the game, and he dishes out a stupid amount of damage for how tanky he actually is. I think he's an easy S tier pick for true solo, probably the second best class in the entire game right now, and these guys are pretty damn close to each other, to be honest. Very powerful guy, but you know, Heavy is Heavy, and he's always been winning in this game pretty much since launch. Next class we have here is the Sniper class. Now, Sniper did catch a nerf to his Camo Cloak cancel in patch 10.1 and 10.2. He can no longer spam it indefinitely and be invincible the entirety of the Space Marine 2 operation, which, to be honest, is more than reasonable. He can still spam it like 4 to 6 times with diminishing returns. That is a far more balanced ability, because previously he was just like the hardcore S tier. There was no class that could ever match being invincible the entirety of the game. That is no longer the case, but he is still a top tier class because this guy does have incredible perks like Pattern of Excellence for 30-second Melt-A-Bomb spam, Crack Grenade spam, Shock Grenade spam, and Frag Grenade spam, which is kind of OP in Space Marine 2. Really, anything that breaks the pickup or health economy of Space Marine 2 is a god tier perk, and he is no different for that. He also has incredible survivability with things like Conviction and the Purification perk. Purification giving you back all of your contested health on upon going into Camo Cloak. So very, very powerful ability there. And his weapon selection is top tier as well. Stuff like Stalker Bolt Rifle, Bolt Carbine, and the Last Fusel. Last Fusel is kind of OP versus the Tyranids at times. Versus Chaos, it's far more balanced because Chaos now has the new Chaos Bombs, which are kind of hard to hit in the head. And unfortunately, some of his other options are lacking, but Last Fusel is just that strong. His ammo economy is very strong. He probably has the best prestige perk selection of any class in the game as far as like choices go, because he has like 6 or 7 good perks. Pretty unusual in this game, to be honest, which is kind of unfortunate. It's just the way it is. I would say Sniper is an easy A tier. He is very easy to run in this game. He is very useful on any team comp. And in true solo, he's just a very forgiving class to play because any class that can easily heal, has high damage reduction, and has a high ability to like nuke bosses is going to do pretty well in this game. And he is just good for everything like that, especially with Melt-A-Bomb spam. So A tier for sure. Very powerful option. And honestly, he's been a pretty good class for true solo since they buffed him with Purification. Next class here is Tactical. Now, Tactical is probably the biggest winner as far as like moving up tier goes in this patch. He now has the Pyroblaster, and Pyroblaster is by far the best weapon on this class. It does insane amounts of horde clear damage with the burn, has amazing synergy with the Block's Chainsword, it gives him armor regen, does significant boss damage even without the Aspect scan. Tactical definitely moved up to A tier from this, I believe. But if you want to say he's still in B because he is very squishy, this class has no damage reduction at all, just like the Assault class, because he only has things like the Fortitude perk and his Prestige perk tree. He is still very, very powerful with the Pyroblaster to the point that I would still say he goes into A. The only thing he's kind of lacking is that damage reduction and that CHP recovery. But if you take a Rate of Fire Plasma Pistol, he's still a very powerful class for the true solo, and he's been significantly easier since patch 9.0, especially since the Karn effects is no longer having like this pinpoint shot on the artillery volley fire. Very powerful class, very fun to use as well, and like a great weapon selection. Though I will say, if you're not using the Pyroblaster, he would go to B. But since we're talking about like the optimal setups with these guys, I would say he goes into A. Very strong guy for sure, and the only thing that's really lacking on him is that damage reduction. Now, the final class we have here is the Vanguard. Now, I think Vanguard also won a lot this patch. Now, first of all, the Power Axe has amazing synergy with Tactical Prowess and Zone of Impact, because basically, you can parry off of your Power Axe, use your Power Wave to damage the enemy, hit that breakpoint for the 33% HP for the Tactical Prowess trigger, and just go back out of range with that Power Wave to actually use your grapnel on the guy, which is like one of the most annoying parts about Vanguard in this entire game, is that you can't actually grapnel a guy immediately after doing damage to them, because oftentimes you're 2 feet in front of their face, which is super obnoxious. But Power Wave kind of circumvents that. A very powerful option. I do think the Power Axe and the Block's Chainsword are the best weapons on this guy currently, and he feels a lot better than he used to for sure. And I'll also say that he has a ton of health damage reduction. You can stack on like the 25% damage reduction from Conviction on top of the 20% damage reduction of Thrill of the Fight, which takes him up to like 45% health damage reduction for 5 seconds or 10 seconds on the 25%, which is very powerful. Health damage reduction is very good in Space Marine 2 in general. He also has the perk Unmatched Zeal to give him even further HP. On top of the fact, he also has Restless Fortitude for a 40% range damage reduction, which is also very good on him. The only thing that kind of sucks about Vanguard is that his boss damage is atrocious. He has the worst boss damage in the entire game because he has no Power Fist, but Power Fist isn't exactly necessary on him all the time if you play around with him properly on Tactical Prowess, Zone of Impact. And even though he is kind of carried by one perk combo in the game, but we can't really fault him for that because the Assault is carried by Power Fist. This class is carried by Paradigm Excellence and Purification. This class is carried by Pyroblaster. The Bulwark is just carried by every single part of his pretty much build mechanics here because this class is OP, and Heavy is just Heavy. As far as the Vanguard goes, I'd say he is an easy A. I would probably put him above Tactical currently. You could make an argument for him being the top of A because honestly, Unmasked Zeal plus all that health damage reduction and the new Power Wave buffs helped him a ton. He is very strong right now. He does kind of suck to fight against certain bosses occasionally because they do like to body block his grapnel, but I would say he's moved up a tier. I would put him over Assault. And even if we do put Assault in A, I would say Assault would go like a little bit above Tactical maybe, or like right below him with the Power Fist. You know, it really depends on who you ask, but as far as the Vanguard is concerned, I would just put him here because he is just a very powerful class currently. He's also a ton of fun to play at times, and he has a lot of cool ideas for his build synergies here. Now, as far as the overall list goes, I think this is pretty standard. The only thing I would actually move up here maybe is, like I said before, the Assault class, and maybe move the Tactical down, because being squishy does suck ass in Space Marine 2, and both of these classes lack health damage reduction, which does blow, but maybe one day they'll give them both Conviction, who knows. Space Marine 2 has like a weird balance history in general, but for some reason, Assault does kind of get left behind a little bit because they really don't seem to know how to properly balance this class, and he is kind of carried by some very overpowered melee weapons, but you know, like I said before, we can't fault a class for being carried by one perk setup, otherwise half of these wouldn't even be on like the list that they are. Anyways, guys, let me know what you think about the tier list here if you play True Solo, and as always, take it easy, thank you for watching, and bye.